Tramore. It looks like Santa brought you most of what you wanted for Christmas, Barry, with some wonderful performances over that Christmas period. Simonsig, we waited ages to see Simonsig, and then we saw him twice in a week.
Yeah, he was very good. He had such an easy time in Ascot. Nicky was keen to get a bit more experience into him, and the Wayward Lad is a nice race. We won it last year at Sprinter Sacre as well, so he did it equally as well, I think.
Where next for him, Barry?
I think possibly a similar route to the Sprinter, as in maybe go for the Game Spirit in Newbury.
OK, and very, very exciting prospect. I mean, you can't compare anything with Sprinter Sacre. It's presumably, Barry, but how good is Simonsig?
He is very good. He's very good. He's probably doesn't race with as much enthusiasm or aggression maybe as Sprinter Sacre would take things on. He's a little bit more laid back, which is not a bad thing. But a great ride, but he's equal as regards class. He's got a lot of class.
A lot of class, Simonsig, one of many exciting horses you would be looking forward to. Getting quite a few tweets asking, what are you most looking forward to? Actually, Craig says, apart from Sprinter Sacre and Simonsig, what would you most be looking forward to looking ahead to Cheltenham? That's a tricky one, I guess.
I suppose it is. I'm a little bit spoiled for choice, but I have a soft spot for Bosworth, I suppose.
That's understandable. I mean, we've talked before, I think, Barry, about the character of the horse, the nature of the horse, in terms of, you know, he seems very laid back and seems to take things very easily and keep on giving you what you want. But from a form book point of view, you'd have to be delighted, wouldn't you, the way all the form involving him seems to be panning out?
Oh, definitely. I think he's I've always kind of described him as being unassuming. He only ever does as much as he has to do. You always think it's a little bit, it's a slightly hard work for him. But I think that's just the style of racing. He never lets you believe there's an awful lot there, but whatever you need him and go from, there's always plenty. So I think he keeps plenty for himself, and he kind of goes under the radar maybe.
Yeah, well, he's not under the radar anymore, I suppose, but in terms of what he might still have to offer. I mean, another great boost to his form, of course, with the Lexus Chase result, which was an extraordinary race to see how it panned out. But, of course, in the end, Tidal Bay got there, and, of course, you beat Tidal Bay in the Hennessy. What did you make of the Lexus? Because it was an amazing climax, that race, wasn't it? It was
a great race. We went a good gallop, steadied a little bit down the back the second time, but we quickened well from the third last, and it was a rock-solid result. I thought Tidal Bay was the one I thought was going to give Flemingstone most to do, having had such a good run in Newbury. And, you know, Paul Nichols has done brilliantly with him. And if we got slow around in Cheltenham, he'd be the one to worry about in the Gold Cup.
Would indeed. And what did you make of Flemingstone? Because at one point he seemed to go sort of cantering past you, Barry. Did you at that point think he's going to go away and win well?
He looked like that, yeah, he did. Probably didn't meet the last on a great strides, and he got worn down in the finish, but I suppose it was his first time over 3 mile. He ran a little bit keen. He probably jumped a little bit too well at times and got himself just maybe running with the choke out a little bit. So you'd like to think if he was to switch off better, he possibly would still get 3 mile, but he has the option. He's enough class to go back to 2 miles, so he's fairly versatile, I'd imagine.
He is indeed. I can't remember which of the cases it was, quoted talking about Flemingstone dropping back to 2 miles, that they'd give Sprinter Sacre something to think about. Have you been tossing and turning, awake at night, worried at that prospect, Barry?
No, not that one, no. Obviously he's a very good horse, and if he came back to 2 mile, he'd have to be respected, but that's a long way off.
It is indeed. But we'll see. I mean, you said, I mean, we will see him over 3 miles again by the look of things. Flemingstone, it looks like he'll go for the Hennessy. Would you say it's fair enough? Give him another try over 3 miles? Or watching that race, was your instinct, Barry, that he just stopped because he didn't get home?
No, I think he's probably worth another crack at it. He was only beating the neck, and I suppose if the result went 2 foot the other way and he won a short head, there'd be no one asking any questions. I think he's entitled to go again. It'll be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah. Will indeed. Talking of trips and distances for horses, I saw in the Racing Post today, Barry, a piece quoting Nicky Henderson about Oscar Whiskey, and he might go for the Cleve Hurdle and maybe the World Hurdle again. I think that it's probably fair to say, Barry, that'll surprise some people, given that he seemed well held in the World Hurdle last time. But you presumably have been involved in those chats. Do you think he's worth another try over 3 miles, Oscar Whiskey?
Well, it was the first thing that came into my head after he won the last day in Cheltenham. As I was coming back down the chute, I was thinking, how did this fella not get 3 mile when he's after winning 2-5 on very soft ground and made the running? And I came back in and met Nicky in the winners' enclosure. It was the first thing he said to me as well. So you'd have to be tempted to go for the 3 mile again, especially when big bucks is going out of the equation. But I think the Cleve Hurdle might just fit in as regards a prep race for wherever he goes. And I suppose we're dipping our toe in the water again to see if we would get the trip. Yeah,
it'd be very interesting indeed. Oscar Whiskey looks like the Welsh champion out of the picture for him. Just very quickly, while we've got you, Barry, a couple of other tweets here. This is an interesting one actually, because obviously you're dividing your time between Britain and Ireland. And just very quickly, Alan says, any major differences between racing in Britain and Ireland? Do the races ride any different?
Races generally in England would go maybe at a stronger pace, where in Ireland we tend to bunch a little bit, and everyone's kind of watching each other. It's possibly more tactical in Ireland than it is in England, where it tends to go a good end-to-end gallop and best horse wins. Where in Ireland you can be caught in traffic a little bit. That would be the main difference. Facilities here have improved, and racecourses have improved, and they're possibly on a par really.
Yeah, certainly it's an ideal position for you, isn't it, dividing your time, providing the travelling isn't too much of a bind, but when you've got stuff to look forward to at both ends, I imagine the travelling's fairly easy. Richie emails to say, this is a good one actually, Barry. How good is Geraghty, and do you want to ride it in the Supreme Novices? I would imagine you're going to be spoilt for choice in the Supreme as well, because he rode that horse for... was in another good novice hurdler the other day.
River Meg won
River
it.
Meg, yeah.
Yeah, he's very nice. Jeff, he's very good, and we'll have to wait and see who goes where or what happens with the novices. But he's definitely one of the best novices around.
Puffin Billy was the other name that comes to mind.
Yeah, well, Puffin Billy, I've ridden him twice and won him twice, but both occasions I was stepping in for Leighton Aspel, so I'm sure Leighton will be back on board when he goes to Cheltenham.
OK, let's not duck Richie's question, though, because Robbie Power might be back on board Geraghty as well. But if you could ride Geraghty, he's the favourite. Would he be the pick so far of those that you've ridden?
Well, it's hard to say he's not. He's after winning 2 Grade 1s. He's beaten everything that was put in front of him. But River Meg is a horse we thought a good bit of in his bumpers last year, and he was a good second to Dodging Bullets. He improved a good bit from that well in Kempton, so I think we haven't seen the best of him yet. So we still have another few months to go before we have to worry about all those things.
We do indeed, and the champion hurdle picture as well. Hurricane Fly wins again the other day in Ireland, looked pretty much as good as ever. I tell you what, the start of the season, Barry, I was interested in Zarkano. I was also interested in Grandway from Nicky Henderson's yard, and I decided in the end to slightly overlook Darlan, but Darlan is now Joy's favourite alongside Hurricane Fly. You've got a good view of Darlan and Grandway. What do you make of their chances against the Hurricane?
I think it's a wide open year. Hurricane Fly looks like as if he's returned to form. He was definitely below himself last year on the champion hurdle, and even when he won and punched, and he wasn't as good as he has been. Darlan is a horse we've always liked, and I think even surpassed our impressions of him in Kempton. He was very good off a slow pace to quicken so well. Grandway ran a great race in the international hurdle, and he should improve for that. It's a wide open year, really.
It is indeed. At the start of the season, I'd have put Grandway ahead of Darlan as a champion hurdle prospect.
Yeah, well, it'd be very hard to say. I think Grandway will be a lot better than he was in Cheltenham the last day, and I think better ground would be a help for him too. But Darlan, you'd have to be every bit as impressed with him as you would with anything, really, so far with what he did in Kempton.
It would indeed. Very, very exciting. But we could talk all day about horses that you might end up riding in big races all season. Just finally, as looking forward to 2013, I've had a tweet here saying, would your Grand National success on Monty's Pass be the highlight of your career? Or do you think the highlight is still ahead of you?
Well, I don't know. I hope it is. I hope I do better than that then. The Grand National's a race everyone wants to win from the time you can talk or watch a horse race. What you wanted to win is the Grand National. So to win it is brilliant. I suppose last year in Cheltenham to win the 5 Grade 1s was probably on a par, but the Grand National is always, it's such a unique race. No matter where you go in the world, if someone asks you what do you do and you say you're a jockey, and they ask you have you ridden in the Grand National, so that can be anywhere in the world, but they don't notice other races so much. So it's a special one.
It is indeed. It will always be special. There might be more down the road, but it promises to be a fantastic 2013 National or not. You've given us a lot of time this morning, Barry, on a race day. Really appreciate that as ever. Stay safe in 2013.